super thankful for my family and the relationship we have. I know not everyone has the opportunity to have an incredible family, and I do, and I don't take that lightly. And the support that they give me, s- obviously they've always had support, but definitely in the last couple year, call it year and a half now, with navigating all the stuff from transitioning from being married to going through a divorce to finalize the divorce last year. So family was super supportive through all of those things. And even this year has been interesting. And you may or may not agree with this, but understanding that whether or not things that happen to my life, like they may not have come from God, but God can use it for his good and his glory. A lot of times people have told me when I've opened up to them about it that first off, they couldn't tell that anything like that happened to me. And the second part is they didn't know that it happened last year. And so there's something, all that stuff happened, went down summer of 2024.
Turn this up, turn this up.
Your professional development is one of the keys to your career success. When you combine your desire to grow with actionable steps, your journey to success becomes an incredible reality.
Hi, I'm Paul Faronbi, aka IncrediPaul, and welcome to IncrediPaul Leadership, where we learn how to become the most incredible versions of ourselves by learning from each other. First off, thank you so much for listening to this episode, but I also want you to know that you can also watch it on YouTube. Regardless of your listening or watching this episode, really appreciate your support. So 2 more things I need to tell you about because I haven't been great about talking about it, but I need to talk about it. First off is you can pick up the Be Incredible Starter Pack. What is it, you may ask? It is your guide to becoming the most incredible version of yourself. It has a leadership masterclass, has a budget template, resume template, and interview guide, and it's all for free. All you have to go to is IncrediPaul.org/start. Go there, put in your email, and I will send it to you. The other thing is I am always wearing IncrediPaul merch, but I don't always talk about it. So this Be Incredible hat for those of you watching. Also, the I am a leader, not an influencer hoodie that I'm wearing, or any other t-shirt you see me wearing. You can pick it up at the store on the shop. Go to my website, IncrediPaul.org/merch or /shop. It'll go to the same place. By doing that, you help support all the stuff I do with IncrediPaul, whether it's podcasting or different communities and building, all the things, because I do a lot of stuff for free, whether it's the podcast, the newsletter, Be Incredible Starter Pack. So the merch helps me continue to empower young professionals to become the most incredible versions of themselves. So a little heavy of commercials today, but trying to do a little bit better to just offer you the opportunity to support. You're already supporting enough by listening or watching this. So hit subscribe, rate, and review as well. But today I want to talk about gratitude. And this has become a recurring thing. I think I started back definitely in 2023. I can't remember if I did it in 2022, but since 2023, week of Thanksgiving, I put out an episode talking about gratitude for the year. And it's definitely evolved and changed what I've been thankful for. In 2023, it was wrapping up my first year of marriage. 2024 was talking about the fact that I was no longer married anymore and the transition that came with that. And 2025 is just a new season in itself. Living in Nashville, I've talked about, shared a little bit about that in reflection last year and beginning of this year. So maybe this is the first episode you've ever seen. You don't know any of that stuff about me. I think I'm trying to do a little bit better to share where I can, because I have a lot of, been doing more solo episodes since the beginning of May. I'll kind of mix in there in addition to the interviews so you can get to know more about me, what I'm about. So this is a perfect opportunity to do that. So really 3 key areas that I'll talk about on the business side, the family side, and on the faith side that I'm thankful for. So if you're not a person of faith, it won't offend me if you want to skip over that part, but I think you should listen to it as well. But I will start off more on the business and career side of things, what I've been thankful for. So with that, I am so thankful that I have the opportunity to podcast, to meet incredible people really from all over the world. Is focused on the United States, but I've had opportunity to interview people really all over the world as well. Excited about some people that will be coming on the show next year, because I've honestly in the last 2 months, I have been interviewing people for 2026 already. So I already know some of the people that are going to be coming up. So going to be excited to see that. Also, the people still to come this year, still in 2025, super excited. But podcasting is an opportunity for me to connect with people, albeit virtually, but I am someone that really values connection. I value communicating on a deeper level, really getting to know people. And that's why I love podcasting. I said before, and I'll say it again, if no one ever watched or listened to an episode, I would still do it because of the connection I have with the guests. Obviously, the guest wants to get something out of it, whereas my network or maybe relationships that I have, I connect them with. So that is an added benefit, but really truly getting to connect with people, it is such a blessing. And even the fact that I'm up over closing in on 150 episodes with the podcast too. So it was late last year I got to 100 episodes, and then I could have got to 150 episodes by the end of 2025, but I just strategically pause over like the late summer, kind of August time frame, kind of regroup on things. Beginning of 2026, I will hit the 150 mark and just keep it going. Besides that, speaking opportunities, I have been able, I think it was more heavy on it earlier this year with different speaking opportunities I had, whether it was going to can't even, I'm spacing on it, but I went to Birmingham, I went to Kansas City, I went to New Orleans, I did a few things virtually as well. I wasn't too heavy on the speaking this year, mainly because there are some things I wanted to focus on with the podcast and just building some things on the career side as well, on the stuff I do on the engineering side. So I talk extensively about what I do with podcasting, what I do with building communities, whether it's with IncrediPaul or now STEM, but also I'm a research and development engineer. So I'm super passionate about helping younger engineers. And I had opportunities to have an intern for the summer. And that really was the highlight of the year for me, definitely in my career, to be able to see her come in and not really knowing anything about the company or what we did. And at the end, really doing really well in her presentation. So that was a huge highlight for me. Besides that, I'm also, that wasn't enough for what I mentioned with IncrediPaul, R&D work, and doing hosting an intern, speaking, coaching every now and then. It's really on request basis, but I'm trying to be more intentional about what that looks like, because I do have the certification in Maxwell leadership. I can definitely be more intentional about what that looks like. So if you need coaching, because the coaching process really doesn't change depending on what you're getting coaching on. I choose to focus on executive leadership coaching, personal growth. But for whatever reason, people have come to me asking about just relationship advice at times. But I think that kind of goes hand in hand with leadership, because it's that people skills. So I might branch out on that, but that's not my focus. But if you have questions about different things, maybe you see in my life that I'm able to navigate well, I can help unlock what it means for you. But a good coach knows that you're not trying to make a reproduction or duplicate yourself. You are trying to unlock what's in the person themselves. So that's really the power behind coaching. But enough about that. Besides that, I've been doing career coaching with One Salting. So I had the opportunity of having Jonathan Javier on the podcast back in 2023. and he is the founder of One Salting. And for those who don't know what One Salting is, I'll make sure I put a link to it in this show description. But if you are someone that is looking for a new job, maybe you got laid off or you just want to transition, it is a platform. It is a community of people, really uh, a service that you can get your LinkedIn reviewed, get your resume, you get job search strategies, interview prep, all the things, all the tools you need to land in the career of your dreams. So the whole mission behind them is turning underdogs into winners. And so I really resonate with Jonathan and his founder, Jerry, and what they're doing with One Salting is absolutely incredible. So I've been a part of them, contracted with them really since the beginning of 2025. Started off just in career coaching, loving that, and then been doing more stuff on the strategy side with them, just streamlining stuff with their career coaches. So that, along with all the other stuff I've been doing, has been super exciting, and just excited to continue to partner with them and build out the vision of turning underdogs into winners all over the world. So as a business side, I talk about that first. That's what people see the most of. But I think the other part, actually, I know the other part I want to talk about is family. And for the most part, that is one part I want to still keep private just for their purposes and for my purposes. But my family is the absolute best. I mean, it's not completely private because I've definitely had them on the show earlier on. So if you're curious about like my family, like towards like the beginning episodes, I think in the first 20 episodes, pretty much had everyone on my family on at one point. Cool thing that I like to tell people about my family is that pretty much everyone in my family, actually everyone in my family has a background in engineering as far as the education, except my mom, who has like a teaching degree. But the most fascinating about that is, so there's four of us, I have three siblings, and my mom homeschooled them throughout, and she homeschooled me from second to eighth grade. I decided I want to go to high school. Everything turned out great for me, but there, all I'll say is my siblings were probably set up much more by being homeschooled through high school with all the different opportunities they had for dual enrollment and things. Because they were well, like, not to say that I wasn't set up, but my mom, all I'll say, like, the key thing is about my mom, like, nothing but great things to say about her, that she had a hand in raising not one, not two, not three, but four engineers. So that is remarkable in itself. And then my dad's an engineer by trade as well. Done that for several years. He's in entrepreneurship stuff and then doing more project management stuff recently as well. So, and late last year, I think this was pretty much, I don't remember if I talked about it or not. I had opportunity to do we had opportunity to do our first speaking engagement together. It was virtual, but albeit still together, talking about leadership. He was talking about emotional intelligence. We definitely need to do more of that stuff. I know that he's been busy with some other things. I've been busy as well, so I can't put it all on him. But my dad is amazing. My little sister, she is the youngest, everyone's favorite. Her birthday's the day before mine. We talk about being the Aprils all the time. And two of my siblings as well, as engineers. So we're spread out across the country, whether it's me in the South, the Midwest, upper Midwest, so to speak, Northeast. And one of my brothers is in grad school getting his PhD in music technology. And I always tell people, and it's pretty much just known in my family, he is the smartest one in our family as far as what he's doing, the passion he has. And then I have another brother who lives in the same city as my parents, and he is incredible with what he does on the photography, videography side of things. I mean, he's an electrical engineer, but if he really wanted to, he could go in and do that stuff full time. He does it on the side, he gets paid for it. Every time you see me post different speaking opportunities or clips and stuff, he was actually, I think all of them, he was the one that shot it, whether it was on video or on stills. Occasionally he'll help with editing. I also have another person who helps with editing as well. So super thankful for my family and the relationship we have. I know not everyone has the opportunity to have an incredible family, and I do, and I don't take that lightly. And the support that they give me, obviously they've always had support, but definitely in the last couple year, call it year and a half now, with navigating all this stuff from transitioning from being married to going through a divorce to finalize the divorce last year. So family was super supportive through all of those things. And even this year has been interesting navigating life single for the first time, first prolonged time, honestly, since college, that I've not been in a relationship or really seeking one. Like naturally been on dates and things like that, but not been in, I guess, an exclusive relationship since everything ended. And I think with that, and I guess it's more so on the personal side, but just learning more about myself and what I need, and also what God wants me to do as well, as I talk about being a person of faith, is that I definitely need to be more intentional about the people I have in my life that are the closest to me. Obviously, I say that I am friendly with everyone, not necessarily everyone is my friend in the concrete sense of the word, that I'm always talking to, I'm always reaching out to them. I have friends really all across the country that I can reach out to really at any point, and they know they can reach out to me as well. But I just know that for a lifelong partner, I need someone that is committed and knows or understands the call that God has on my life. But at the same time, I'm receptive and open to that can shift in what that means in potentially another long-term relationship or even marriage. But like I said, we will see what God has in store for me. Right, for right now, I am very much enjoying living the single life and being able to just pick up and go, pretty much do whatever I want, living the bachelor life. Maybe at some point that will change. But that kind of leads into the next part. Really thankful for God and all the stuff He has done in my life, what He's been doing. I think for me, it's really understanding that, and you may or may not agree with this, but understanding that whether or not things that happen to my life, like, they may not have come from God, but God can use it for His good and His glory. And I made a post probably months ago, maybe it was even last year, talking about like Daniel in the lion's den. No, it was Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So a story from the Bible, like these Israelite boys or men, they were captured in captivity in the Babylonians. They were told to do something, decided they would not do it. They were thrown into a fiery furnace. What they did was they didn't want to bow down to the king at the time, King Nebuchadnezzar. And what they told the king is, you can throw us in the fiery furnace. We know that our God is able to save us. But the interesting thing is, they said, even if He does not save us, like, we will still worship and serve Him. Story goes, they were thrown into a fire furnace. They did not die. They were walking around, and they eventually called them out of the furnace. And the interesting part is, and I'm kind of going deeper on the biblical side, which I don't normally do, but maybe someone needs to hear this, that when they were bringing them out, one of the people or the guards actually ended up dying just from the excess heat, but they walked out unscathed. And it was said that you cannot even tell that they had ever been in the furnace. Like, all of their hairs were fine, nothing on their clothes were singed. You could even smell it on them. And so the reason why I share that is, whether it was myself and walking through ending a marriage, walking through a divorce, a lot of times people have told me when I've opened up to them about it, that first off, they couldn't tell that anything like that happened to me. And the second part is, they didn't know that it happened last year. And so all that stuff happened, went down summer of 2024. Divorce was finalized end of 2024. So what I say is, when I'm thankful for God, is that it's really only through his power and his grace that I'm able to walk through something like that. And there's not even an evidence that I ever went through it. Not even evidence that I ever went through it. Like, I feel happier and more joy than ever before. And obviously there's times I can think back and reflect on, oh, why did this have to happen? What were the things that could have done differently? And I went through those cycles many a times. But what God has been showing me is that he was able to use it to not just sustain me, but to build me up to be even better. So all of that to say, maybe there's something that you've had to walk through this year that truly was terrible. Like, you wouldn't wish it on your worst enemy. But that does not mean that God cannot use that situation, build you up stronger and better than you ever have been before. Because a lot of times when we go through difficult times, it can be really easy to get really mad at God, but bitter at God and say, why did God do this to me? But really understanding that we live in a broken world and there's going to be broken things that happen to us. And I can't say that I always understand why certain things happen to other people and so other people end up seemingly fine. But what I come back to is knowing that everything that has happened to me, God has been able to work it out for his good and his glory. I even mentioned all the stuff earlier this year when I was trying to sell my condo again and allow all the stuff with the HOA. And honestly, HOA has become like a triggering word for me, but was able to find more tenants. They have been incredible, really easy to work with, really hands off, really nothing to talk about. And then God is able to use that to learn more stuff about what it is to do stuff in the housing market and build that skill. And that might be some things I do longer term with IncrediPaul Enterprises. Is I have so many ideas and things I want to do longer term, but at the same time, I am focused on doing things one at a time and not trying to do too many things, because I'm definitely someone that's done too many things in the past, and I'm trying to limit that. So usually for the solo episodes, I try to keep them under 15 minutes. This one is already over 20 minutes. And I think it's just important I dove a little bit deeper on my faith and that story about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And maybe you needed to hear that. If you have questions about that, I would say find a local church, find a Bible, download the YouVersion Bible app. I mean, I think there's other Bible apps, but that's the most famous or most popular one. There's different things that you can see in there that, regardless if you're a person of faith or not, I still love you because that's what God has called me to do. Whether you love me or not, I'm going to do what God has called me to do. And I'm just thankful for what God has done in my life, despite everything, because I don't deserve it. There's nothing that I deserve, but God has been gracious to me, and I want to use that grace to be gracious to others. But super excited for all the things. I mean, there's other stuff I can talk about. Like, I have a pilot program for an ambassador program that's been going on. Actually, by the time this comes out, would be meeting with them again tomorrow. So as they're listening, really thankful for all of you. I know I tell them every time that they are incredible. And at some point, maybe I would have already done it by the time I'm recording this, but want to highlight them as much as they are comfortable with, and then building that even more in 2026, what the IncrediPaul Ambassador programs can look like. So that is a way that if you want to rep what I do and get free merch and you're passionate about what I do, the Ambassador program is a way to do that. So it will be on probably an application basis. So like this last time for the pilot, it was personal invites. I reached out to people for 2026, which I'll probably start advertising it next month or in the coming weeks about how you can learn about it, what we're looking for, and have the people in a pilot probably been more of a leadership role for it. So super excited with that. So this is just talk about like what I've been thankful I'll have another episode towards the end of the year where I do a little bit more deeper reflection. I did do some reflection here, but I'll do more reflection in that episode. But think about what you are focusing on. What you're focusing on grows, whether it's to get bitter or better. Choose to do something and focus on the things that can truly make you be incredible.
Be sure to rate and review this podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform. We'll see you here next time. And be incredible. Incredible.